All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Spark 7.7 release call. Our agenda is as follows. We're going to talk about what's new, what's changed, what's fixed. Emily's going to walk us through a demo of some of the new features, and then there will always be time for questions. So if you do have questions, there should be a chat window in the Zoom window. So go ahead and type those in as we go along, and we'll make sure to address those as needed. If you have a question after this meeting, you can send that to support@lendwithspark.com. Okay. This release will be beginning this weekend, Saturday evening at 9 p.m. Central Time, and may run overnight. So you will see these changes on Sunday or Monday. So we'll start with what's new. And what's new with this release is one feature, pretty significant though, and we think you're going to like it. We've revamped our notes feature. So notes are now called quick notes, and they are much more powerful than they were previously. So currently, you might recognize the notes feature in the package menu within a package, and that notes feature tracks some automatically generated notes that will appear when certain significant actions happen on a package throughout the origination process. So for example, a package changes stages, a note is generated so that you can kind of track the progress at any time. We've revamped that feature, so we're calling it quick notes now, and these quick notes will allow you to actually create notes. You can edit them, format them, and save them across various pages in Spark. So they're no longer siloed in that notes page. And that notes page itself has changed, and we'll talk about that in a second. Another big thing you can do here is you can tag team members. So this is a new form of communication within Spark. So you can @a teammate like you would on Twitter to ask questions about the package, request an action, maybe a tax transcript needs to be ordered. You could remind somebody of that through a quick note. Tag team members will get a notification and they can reply to that note to keep the conversation going. So you can have a thread of conversation about the package within the package. You can also upload documents to a note. So if you did need to provide some more context or some more information, you can do that. You can make a note private as well if you just want to tag one person, but don't want it to be seen by anyone who accesses the package. And side note, these are available for internal folks only. So your borrowers are not going to be seeing these notes in any case. You can also mark a note high priority, like you can with, say, an email, if you want a faster response or you really want to grab somebody's attention. And then anytime that you are tagged in a note, when a note that you're tagged in or that you've created receives a response, or when a note is resolved, you're going to get a notification on your homepage so that you can keep track of these actions. So if a note isn't marked private, it can be seen by all team members from any page that includes that quick notes feature. Okay, so anyone can see the running commentary within the notes that have been created so far. And then the notes also include a read status. So this is very similar to what you've seen with like email as well. So you can see if a note is unread. Obviously, you haven't opened it, maybe it's new, but then anytime you view, reply, resolve the note, it will automatically be marked as read. And then you have control over that. You can manually change the status between read and unread at any time. So if you want to use it as kind of a to-do list, that's one way you could do that. And then when you're finished with this conversation, task, whatever the note, the topic of the note is, you can mark it resolved to kind of close the book on that note, or you can archive a note and it'll remove it from your list of notes. Archiving is kind of like deleting, but as you know, Spark doesn't really delete anything. So we called it archiving. That screen that used to be called Notes is now going to be called Package Activity. And the reason for that is it now needs to reflect both those quick notes that you're creating and also those system generated notes that currently exist.
Kyle, so I think we lost your screen for just a second.
Okay, let me know when I'm back.
All right, perfect. Thank you. There we go. Perfect. Thanks, Kyle.
All right. Yep. Thanks, Emily. So the package activity screen is now going to include both those quick notes. It's also going to include those existing system generated notes. Those will remain in that screen, though the name has changed. So in order to help you manage that, you can now filter on various categories in that package activity page. So whether you want to see quick notes, whether you want to see those system generated notes related to, say, a stage change, you'll be able to filter to quickly see those categories. One additional change, we've added some fields to our standard reporting data set. And those include index rate name, spread, the adjustment period, and the base rate. If you'd like more information about how you can incorporate these things into your reporting, contact your customer success manager. And lastly, we made a few fixes here. So any field that uses search as you type logic, where you get results in real time as you type characters, you're now going to see more relevant results. We kind of changed the logic that it uses to look for results. The secondary market sales homepage now appears as expected when you view it with the new dashboards. The create automated package action from that global actions menu will no longer appear for organizations that don't have document analysis enabled. So hopefully eliminate some confusion there. Swift codes should now function as expected when you're creating a settlement statement, and the infamous various other bug fixes. All right, so if you do have questions about any of these features, Emily should knock most of these out, I would expect, with a quick demo of the notes feature. If not, remember, you can type them in that chat window. All right, so Emily's going to take it away now.
And just give me 1 second to get this queued up here for you all. All right. Perfect. So we are going to do kind of a high-level overview of what Kyle just talked about with regards to the quick notes that we now have available in Spark. So I'm currently logged in as a Spark admin, and you're going to see me flip back and forth between a Spark admin account and my own personal account, so you can see kind of how those tags are going to be working on in Spark. So let's pop into our example loan, the Literary Mockingbird. And the first thing that you'll notice is this new create a note button that's on the right-hand side of the screen. Now, we're not going to focus on that just yet. I want to first highlight what's going on in that package activity section. So when you go to your package navigation on the left-hand side, you'll see this package activity, and we just did a hyphen to mark it as notes. So you could remember that this is also what used to be considered the notes page. So we don't want you to, freak out if you don't see that notes page available anymore. It's still there. We're just now calling it package activity. And I do want to call out the different actions that you can take on this screen. So first and foremost, we have this concept of filtering by certain activities. So in this case, I have team assignments that have been done, and I've also fired off an information request. But you can think of activities as things like sending a commitment letter, sending an LOI through Spark, whether or not you change stages, whether or not you unlock a package. All of those different activities are going to be considered as part of this activity listing. And then you can select or, check or uncheck as many as you would like. And that will, clean up your view, so to speak. So if we didn't want to include the team assignment, I could uncheck that, and you'll notice that it drops off from the list immediately. So that's just a way to kind of clear up this page a little bit in case there are certain things that you just don't need to see at the moment. Beside that, you'll notice that we have this all notes page, and this particular dropdown is going to depend on what pages we have notes at this time. And that might not make a whole lot of sense yet, but you'll see what I mean in just a minute. Because right now we have a note on both the sources and uses page and on the total exposure page in Spark. And so as you start tagging people directly on certain pages, that will appear in this notes listing. So again, if I didn't care about anything to do with the sources and uses note, I could simply deselect it and it will drop off my list of available notes to see. We can also filter by users. So currently, Bridget Jones is the only person who has created notes at this point. But obviously, as your team starts building out deals and loan packages, you can see who's doing what, who's creating what. So if you just want to see the notes that you created yourself, you could filter by yourself personally or any of your other teammates. We also have this concept of a date range that you can expand And you can even go beyond today's date if you really needed to. So if you wanted to, ship it all the way through the weekend, you could expand that window beyond the current date if you needed to. It shouldn't really affect your searching capabilities though, but just know that you can dictate that range and try and help limit what those results are, because as you know, as this package gets built out, there's a lot of activity that will now show up on this page. So we're just trying to make it easy for you all to find what's most relevant. Additionally, we have the options to show archived or resolved notes. And again, this is going to be important because if we do not have these two options selected, any archived or resolved notes won't show up on its notes listing. And that's by design, because we don't want that the notes page or the package activity page to be cluttered up by these items that we have resolved and that will no longer appear on the list. But just in case, for auditing purposes, if you need to see what's been cleaned up on the deal, you can go ahead and have those show up via the resolved and archived buttons. And then also you have the ability to say how many items do you want to see by default. You can go 50, 100 if you so choose. And that would make your search option a little easier to use as well. If I want to see anything about the information request, if I could type it in correctly, it will show up on my listing as I search. You can also do newest to oldest or oldest to newest. Similar to how our new dashboards function, if I had more than 5 notes available, let's say that I had 20 notes available, but my current view was only to see 10 items, I would have the load more notes button here at the bottom, and it would have those appear on the listing as well. So this is the new package activity page. Another piece I want to call out is you'll see this subtle little dark circle beside the panel, and this is your read or unread status. So if you click it and it's highlighted orange, then you'll notice that this note has been marked as unread, and you can simply click it again, and now the note has been marked as read. We didn't want it to be a big flag that's kind of in your face, so it's a little subtle. You'll also notice that this particular note has been marked as a high priority. That's what that exclamation point means. But you know what? Let's go ahead and try it out. Let's see what the notes actually look like. So we're going to pop into project accounting, and we're going to create a brand new note. And so I'm going to come in here and hit my create note button. And as I do that, I have the ability to have a limited rich text field box that will appear. And as Kyle said, I have the ability to tag users. So I can say, hey, Emily, please complete the fee chart for this deal. Thanks. I can put a little, smiley face so they know that I'm being nice. And I can also format this field in however I want. I can come in here and put in bullets, numbers, check boxes for a checklist. I can come in and change the color if I would like of the text that you see. I can put my thanks in a really pretty little yellow color, so I know that it's nice and friendly. I can come in and I can make edits to a highlighted color as well, if I so choose. When you hit the bold button now, this is all of the formatting. So not just bold, this is where you'll find your italics, your underline, your strike throughs. And you can also change how it's formatted, whether or not you want it, right justified, centered, and so forth. You can also attach a document to this. So let's say that I actually have a fee listing available. I can come in here to my downloads page and find my evidence and attach it to the notes listing. It'll show that it's a PDF. If I need to get rid of it, I just hit my little trash can button, and that will get rid of the attached document. You can add several documents if you so choose. I can also have the ability to make this note private. And just a quick side note here, if you want a note to be private, you need to mark it as such upon creation. Once the note's created, you don't have the opportunity to go back in and mark that as private after it's already been generated in Spark, which is kind of an FYI for those of you who maybe just want to put a note to yourself in the file. We also have the ability to mark it as high priority. So these things aren't mutually exclusive. You could have both a private and a high priority note. In this case, let's just keep it as a normal note and go ahead and send it. So the other thing you will notice, as soon as that note is created, we now have a new button that appears on the side panel. And this is going to be your right-hand panel that pops open that note. So you can actually see it. We now have a way to filter by unread and read messages, as well as all if you want to see everything. This is not super duper exciting at this point because we only have the one note. However, once it's created, we also have the ability to edit the note. You say, oh man, I forgot something. Yikes. I can include that and then send it back. Hopefully it's a little more pertinent than just that information. And then I also have the ability to archive an individual note that's been included. So now that I've generated a new note and tagged another user, let's see what that experience looks like for the other user. So now I'm going to refresh this page and I am now logged in as Emily. And I can see from my home page that I've been mentioned in 4 notes. So let's check it out, see what's going on. So for the Literary Mockingbird, here's the information about total exposure. I have some information about collateral I need to review on Blue Jay Industries. Oh, and here's my brand new note for project accounting for the Literary Mockingbird. Now, if I really want to see just my unread notes first, I can go and filter by unread. So that way it kind of cleans it up a little bit. You don't have to go back and filter through your read notes if you want to see exactly what's going on. And I can say, oh, shoot, okay, I can knock this out for the total exposure. It won't take me that long. So I can view the note and it will pop me into that specific notes panel on the correct loan that I'm working on. So I can say, okay, Bridget, okay, will do. And as soon as I send off that reply, that is going to notify Bridget via email that I'm working on this. So let's say I come in here, I can add all the information for my debt obligation. Once that's completed, I can come back in and mark this note as resolved. So once that note is resolved, it will no longer show up in this side panel, as well as popping back into my package activity. I can come in and look for those resolved notes. So I come out and see what all has been included thus far. But I need all of my notes. So there we go. Here's my total exposure. Now I can see that it's been marked as resolved. If I don't want it to show up on the listing, it'll now drop off from the list. So those are the big features that come along with the notes section. It really is, it's not a drastic, I should say, it's not a humongous smart change in general, but it is a nice way to actually talk to your colleagues and be able to have a back and forth dialogue that can be managed straight from your homepage. So, as soon as you pop into that note, I can come in and say, okay, let's look at this collateral listing. I can reply from here, add something, you get the gist. I can attach another document and fire off that reply right from Spark. You'll also notice as that reply list gets longer, we roll it up into a thread, which you can then expand just like you would when you get a long email chain going or a Slack channel and so on and so forth. But again, any of these can be edited and archived from the homepage as well. And that is generally how we manage the new note system. So I see that we have a couple of questions here in the chat and the Q&A. So,
yeah, I can start here. So we had one question. Will the new Quick Notes be able to be tagged for API? We have an API connection. The answer is no, not at the moment, due to the amount of data that might consist of. So no, not at the moment. They are not available to be reported on or exported via API. We had another question. Can we make a comment on these notes? Notes can be replied to. I think we just saw that feature where you can reply to a note. I hope that accomplishes kind of what you were looking for, but if not, feel free to, re-ask or clarify. And then the last question, will notes be cleared out when copying a package, or will the notes be copied as well? Emily, do you know that answer?
I do not know that functionality off the top of my head, but we will find an answer for you to that question. Great question. We had another one come in. How are the notes different from task? So this is going to be,